In the early 16th century, Spanish Giovanni met representatives of the Aztec civilization as part of the Cortes expedition. In the city of Tenochtitlan, now part of Mexico City, these Giovanni were introduced to a massive, formalized necromantic tradition. So naturally, they killed, enslaved, and converted the heathens, bringing them into the fold. The Giovanni called these converts Pisanob, a Mayan term that roughly translates to ghosts of the dead that walk the earth. The fact that Aztecs weren't Mayan didn't concern the Europeans. That these vampires already had a name, a legacy, and their own beliefs mattered little to the Giovanni. Their leader, Pochli, was still in charge of the Pisanob, up through the family reunion. However, the family had been whittled down to a bare few remaining kindred after the ongoing attacks by the Harbingers of Skulls. Although the reasons for the attacks were unknown, Pochli offered his unlife to the Harbingers in exchange for the end to the hostilities, which the Harbingers accepted. Now, the remaining children of Tenochtitlan are deciding on a new leader while planning their revenge. I would like to start this lore sheet off by saying I probably butchered the name. I probably butcher the name every time I say it. Tenochtitlan. I am not good. I have white tongue, and white tongue makes me sound stupid. But I try, and I try to remain respectful when it comes to these kind of things. But I do want to go over the fact that the Pisanob are an amazing bloodline. They are ritualistics beyond compare. They have a very deep history in the legacies of South America, which there have been some, we've touched on it on earlier videos, but I like the hidden legacies. This whole necromantic civilization that the Giovanni just decided, well, it's necromancy, it's ours. That is one of the biggest Giovanni flexes that they have, is seeing something and just going, well, it's mine, and they take it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what being a Pisanob with this lore sheet actually does for you. Hiding from the wolf. The remaining Pisanob survive because they are really, really good at hiding. You've learned all manner of techniques to remain out of sight of those that would hunt you, and those you would hunt. You get 1 extra die on any roll to hide, including via the use of disciplines or ceremonies. So the first one gives you a single die in stealth rolls, whether it's mundane or supernatural. You can use Obfuscate if you have decided to invest the points in it, perhaps due to your predator type or some other aspect. And powers such as Cloak of Shadows, which allows you, or the Cloak of Shadows, which allows you to hide within the shadows, also 1 extra die. It's useful, it's simple, and it's not overstretching the number of benefits based on how cheap this part of the lore sheet is. I appreciate that, because there are certain lore sheets that are just like, you spend 1 die, you get 3. You know, it's this one's a little bit more balanced in my opinion. Ghostly instincts. The original kindred embraced in Tenochtitlan were extremely talented necromancers, and they have carried on a wide variety of tips, tricks, and secrets among their brethren. You've learned some of those secrets, which give you 2 additional dice on any Oblivion ceremony roll involving the summoning, control, or destruction of ghosts. This one, in my opinion, is ultimately the Pisanob. They have always been the ritualists. And I like the fact that this one specifically gives you 2 die when it comes to the summoning, control, or destruction of wraiths. This gives them the reason why the Giovanni wanted to keep them around. They're better. They're just good at what they do. The traditions, the herbal the herbal additives, like the things like that. It's going to be up to you to come up with the fluff of how this character is going to work. What is their secret that gives them 2 extra dice? 2 dice can be a lot. That's a crit. 2 dice that roll up on 10. That's 4 successes. That is useful. That is useful as all hell when it comes to lore sheets. Forward thinking. After years of being hunted down by the Harbingers of Skulls, you've learned to always plan ahead, turning potential tragedy into a triumph. Once per story, you can re-roll on any skill roll. In addition, you always get 1 free skill re-roll in any scene in which you work against another Hecata. If the Hecata in question is a member of the Harbingers of Skulls, you get an additional success on that reroll. Forward thinking is kind of petty, and I love it. The idea that you, once per story, get that bonus. That's helpful. But the fact that you get that bonus every single time you work against another Hecata, because there's still hard failings. The family reunion doesn't mean that everybody's forgotten and everything. It means that everybody's decided to put their problems to the side for now, while survival is the main reason why they're together. Some of these individual kindred may be accepting the reunion simply to get closer to enemies, to find a better way to shove that knife in the back. This one represents that very well with the Harbingers of Skulls, where you get even more benefits. I don't know if you're playing like just a full Hecata game and you want to take this, because I've done that, and it was probably one of the best storylines I've ever run. 13 sessions of nothing but havoc. It was amazing. You should check out Black Sheep if you haven't already. Necromantic Prodigy. The secrets of Oblivion are yours to command, whether through study, your ancient bloodline, or secrets you have acquired from your cousins over the years. Your mastery of necromantic ceremonies is unparalleled. You get 2 automatic successes on any roll necessary for activating a necromantic Oblivion ceremony. So not 2 extra dice, 2 extra successes. Which means that you never can outright fail. You are so damn good at what you do that you will never outright fail. You might not hit what you need. So the ritual might not work. But you can never fail so bad that something horrible happens. And with necromancy, I would say that's important. Next in line. Now that Pochley has sacrificed himself to the Hecata's grand plan of unity, it is time for another to step up and lead the Pisanob to future glory. You are one such individual, wielding a balance of necromantic skill and political savvy. You have an additional 2 dots of status within the Hecata. Further, you have an ally among the Hecata leadership, who acts as a 5-dot mala once every other story. You can purchase the mala background, as normal, to make the character a more regular mentor. or patron. So, next in line, I've noticed this among a few of the Hecata lore sheets, which we'll get through in time, but there were several deaths within the family reunion that brought these individuals together. You could very well be the new Pachley. There is somebody else who could very well be the new Baron for the Nation of Blood. Having the extra status among the group, same as what I had said with the Duncern before, the way that I use status is I tend to make it extra social traits that can be used, when interacting with somebody who has reason to bow to that status. In this case, clan on clan. They can choose to ignore it if they choose to. And again, this is my way of interpreting. This is my house rule kind of situation. They can choose to ignore it, but it will make them look bad in other interactions with members of the family. The big thing here that we're looking at, though, is a 5-dot mala of an elder who's probably of the Anziani or the 1444 Council. This is where you get into some very big lore. You have somebody who is strong and powerful and politically savvy, who is on your side and is willing to do what they need to get you to be where they want you, effectively. Now, this is a 5-dot mala that you can also spend points in to make it so that it's not an interaction every other story. That this is an interaction that you could have on a more regular basis as a mentor or a patron. I am a huge fan of this lore sheet altogether, and this one really just sets it in stone for me with how much revenge the Pisanob actually might want against the Harbingers of Skulls. This really is a very fun social interaction that you can have with multiple bloodlines. So, the Children of Tenochtitlan. Obviously, a Hecata-only lore sheet, if I didn't say that before. This lore sheet does put you in a cultural box, which most of these lore sheet bloodlines are going to, because each of these bloodlines has their own cultural setting. But it really does add a lot of drama, and it's a lot of fun to see those characters interact. But yeah, so with that being said, I'm interested in knowing what your thoughts on this bloodline are. If you can put that in the comments, I would sincerely enjoy that, because they came out of what will eventually be known as Mexico City, which has a very interesting sordid past in the world of darkness. We're talking Infernalists and Sabbat and just like all these dark things. And now the Camarilla holds sway over Mexico City. Does this affect anything about the Pisanobs now? Anyway, thank you for joining me. This is Our World of Darkness. I am Voivode Mekhet, and I will see you in the next one. Good evening.